All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for, I know it's my first ever virtual book launch.
Mine too.
Probably, yes, Sarah's too. First ever virtual book launch during a hurricane. Also exciting. My name is Lauren Pitts, and I'm one of the assistant directors at the St. Charles Parish Library. Yeah, so happy that you guys joined us tonight. And let's see. We have a chat box, Zoom does. So if you have anything you need to share while I'm talking, while Sarah's talking, feel free to type it in the chat box. We'll keep an eye on that. There'll be some time for questions at the end. And I'll just, apologize for any technical weirdness that might happen during this. Even though we've been doing virtual meetings and Zoom for a while, they're still very unpredictable. Winds are pretty strong out there, so fingers crossed that everybody's power stays on and internet
Yeah.
access is good. So yeah, it's not ideal. We would have loved to have this at the library. We're just not doing anything in person yet. But being virtual has its benefits. People can be anywhere. Heard somebody was in St. Louis, so that's awesome. We can see everybody's full faces. We don't have to wear masks, so seeing people's
Woohoo!
smiles is really nice. And I'm in my pajama pants. I don't know about y'all, but so that is a nice benefit. Enough about me and my slippers and pajama pants. I'm so happy to introduce you to this evening's author. A native of St. Charles Parish, Louisiana, Sarah Eads grew up in an environment where her puckish sense of humor drew her neatly into creative writing. Her earliest nods came from the Young Authors Competition, where her work garnered the attention of teachers and others. She studied in Italy while in college, and it was here that she found her long suit and followed her heart. After drawing inspiration from her professors, Sarah incorporated her admiration for the Neapolitan lifestyle into a series of writings that led to her first novel, Reviving Sunshine. Dream About Me joins the shelf as her second novel. Sarah's education evokes the Dorothy Wizard of Oz experience. A graduate of Hahnville High School, go Tigers, class of 2000 here, so yes, and Southeastern Louisiana University, go Lions. Sarah is currently working on her master's in creative fiction writing at Concordia University, St. Paul, go Honey Bears, which is an amazing mascot. She also recently became a member of Romance Writers of America. Sarah's future writing plans include a series of intrigue novels, as well as standalone works. There are definitely plans to return to Italy for more research, as well as a Christmas novel set to debut in 2021. So welcome, Sarah. We're so happy to be with you tonight. So I have some questions that'll kind of, start the conversation. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to, like I said, put them in the chat or kind of, wait till the end and you can unmute yourself and talk. We'll just kind of play it by ear. It's a small group, so I think most of you know each other. So, be a little informal. So, Sarah, I love to learn about authors' like writing processes. I know some people have, dedicated time each day to write. Or what was your writing process like for this book?
For Dream About Me, for me, it was just whenever it came. I wrote, if the characters talk to me, that's how I wrote. And of course, you have to edit all the jibber jabber that comes out, but if there was like a point where I couldn't write anymore, I usually use work because I'm the substitute teacher. So I go to work and I love to observe people, and of course working with kids and stuff, it nurtured the creativity that I have. And I go back and write, and it's whenever the creative process stopped, I would stop and just kind of take a break and take a research day and just kind of like take it easy and just be who I am, whether it's going shopping or just kind of looking, be addicted to Facebook, whatever. And then if it came back suddenly, I would go back to the process. Now, if I'm sleeping and it comes back, I'm like, no, sleep's more important at this point. But I would hopefully remember what I wanted or have some interpretation of what I had thought about while I was sleeping. That's pretty much about it.
Okay. How long did it take you to write Dream About Me?
Let's see. It was probably about 2 months, give or take. Normally, like when I wrote Revive and Sunshine, I was on such a run of creativity that only took me like 2 to 3 weeks. This kind of took me process because it was a very emotional book to write. And I didn't expect to be so emotional about it as I'm writing it. So it took longer. It took a lot out of me. And so I had to go back and take my research days off and go to work and come back to it. And I would write maybe 2 or 3 hours. Sometimes I'd write all day. It depends. So, but this one, it was a little longer to get out there.
Interesting. Was there a catalyst that moved you to write this story?
Not really. I think it just came to me. But I mean, who knows? It could have been something in the back of my head that I've been itching to get out, and that just kind of started me writing, but not really.
What has been your favorite and least favorite part of your publishing journey, starting with your first book, moving into your second, and all these other ones that are coming up?
Definitely the editing process. I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to writing. So Revive and Sunshine, I know the story like the back of my hand because I read it so many times. As a writer, I didn't know, I have to know the story. I have to know the characters. But so sometimes I would auto correct. And then when I would read it or have someone else read it and it was a mistake, it drove me nuts. So I read it about 15 times before I started sending it out for test subjects. And some people were like, oh, I really, really liked it. And then some people were like, no, this is the one you have to put out. And when I did Revive and Sunshine, I really didn't like the story. I didn't like how it was turning out. And I kind of was like, let me just throw that one out there. And I had written about 2 other novels at that point, and they were so passionate. I just hadn't had time to sit down and get into them. Then when I wrote Dream About Me, it was just like, okay, I got to get it done. I'm going to wait a couple weeks. And that was the other thing. It was the couple of weeks of actually cleaning it up and then having someone else read it and actually just like scrutinize over the grammar, over the storytelling and then I read it again before I even said, okay, I am done. I cannot touch this anymore. The editors have to, do their job because, what am I paying them for?
Right.
So I did the manuscript, and I actually did not originally want to go back to I wanted to go back. It wasn't that I didn't want to. I wanted to see if there were other publishers that were interested in this because I was afraid that my publishing company wouldn't want it as an emotional story, and I don't know if that was what they were looking for, whereas Revive and Sunshine was a little more happy-go-lucky. And so when I got accepted by my old publisher, I was like, okay, let's do this. And so and then of course, welcome to 2020 here. It just got delayed, and I was so frustrated with it. I was like, okay, it's probably not going to come out until next year. I really wanted one this year and next year, and so I was so frustrated. And then when I got the email from my editor, he said, oh yeah, it's in the process. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Because now it's the waiting period, the editing and the waiting period of either getting accepted or not getting accepted into even if you have history with your publisher, there's a chance that they're going to say, we're going to pass on this, and so you're like, okay, so I need to have plan A, plan B, C, all the way to Z. And find an editor who wants to, or a publisher, I should say, not an editor because they have everybody, but finding that perfect match. And I've been so grateful that my publisher took me on and said, well, we love what you write. And when I first joined with them, I was talking to my editor and he was like, we really like series. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to write a series. But which I am, but it's not ready. I'm like, I want to have all the books ready so I can go, hey, they don't have to bug me. Hey, can we have these pages? So it's, going from the cleaning up period to the waiting period of shopping around of who you're going to stick, be with, and hoping either your old publisher picks you up or somebody new. And a lot of these big publishers don't pick up little tiny authors like myself. So you're definitely grateful when your old publisher goes, hey, we really liked it. Let's do this. Let's have another relationship with each other. And so that's the part where you just pop the cork and everything's like happy. But then after that, it's step by step. It moves quickly. So you're relieved. But you're like so busy thinking about, ooh, I want to do this one, but I want to do it, but after that, it's perfect.
I know. I was when you were talking, I was like, oh my goodness, like getting that phone call or email that,
Right.
the publisher wanted you again. You must feel so relieved and happy.
Right. Yeah.
You mentioned something about characters while you were talking, and I've been reading, little intros to characters you've been posting on your Facebook page. How do you keep the characters straight? Like, do you have index cards or do you use outlines? The process is really fascinating to me.
I do. Well, when I'm writing a book, I usually just write the book. I don't technically think about I'm going to clean them up later on, or, oh, I like how this person looks in my head, so I'm just going to write about that. And they may change. I've had a lot of characters in midst, storytelling suddenly change in features, and I'm like, okay, I have to do something about this, especially if you have a cast of 1,000. So on the side of my desk are sticky notes, and it has a list of what characters are coming from, what their names are. I try to do character sheets prior to and just kind of introduce myself to them, and they can introduce themselves to me. And after that, if I start getting confused, I take a sticky note out and there it goes. It's on my desk and I tape it, and hopefully it'll stay there. Hopefully it won't wear or tear or whatever. And I've had that where they've been all over the place and I lost track of them. But a lot of these standalone novels, they have 5 or 6 characters, but I don't lose track of them. Now, like the series or mystery novels that I may write, I have to remember who had the smoking gun, because eventually it has to go back and you have to get that smoking gun. But yeah, the sticky notes are my friends, and eventually I'll have a web of sticky notes on my wall because my desk is going to be covered in them. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned.
That's awesome from a fellow lover of sticky notes. What do you hope your readers take away from Dream About Me?
I just want them to really kind of fall into the story. I want them to, it's not so much I want them to love the characters, because I love them. I want you to get to know them and see if they're just like you. They're real human beings. Like you may meet Emma on the side of the street and go, oh my gosh, that's Emma, and I want them to come to life for you. And I want you to see that they're just like you, or they've been in a situation, or they can be if you see yourself in Emma or Afonso or anybody in my book, I want you to connect with them, because I want you to know they're just like you. And I know that kind of sounds cliche, they're just like you, but they really are. I try to make them as real as possible, so someone reading it may just go, oh, I feel for her, or I feel for him, because I've been in that situation. So not that I've been in that situation, because that's why it's fiction, but I want my readers to kind of connect with my characters.
That's Excellent. I love character-driven stories. So that sounds really, really good to me. Um, okay, so I'd really like to hear an excerpt from your book. But before that, does anybody have any questions for Sarah? Or we can wait till after. Oh, let's see. Let me unmute you, Jan. Why can't I unmute people?
Let me, I don't know if I can either.
Okay, so she's got it. All right.
Oh,
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah.
thank you.
Oh, great, okay. So I've been wondering about this. My question is about the cover. I really like that we don't see the character's face because I like to kind of imagine how the character looks just from the writing. So I really like that, and I wonder how much input do you have on the cover?
I actually designed this cover. This is the cover that I actually did. My editor and I went back and forth with several kind of styles, and it was never fitting right with what I had in mind. So I said, look, I used an app and I designed my own cover. Can I just show it to you and let me know? And he said, sure. So I sent it to him, and he looked at it and he said, well, do you want to use it? And I said, yes, because this is like one that I did. And as simple as it is, it's probably one of my favorites. And I loved Reviving Sunshine, but it wasn't the one that I wanted, because I know certain sources are needed and some are not there. So you kind of have to do what you want. And then when I found this, I was like, oh, I can now design my covers and give better input and show them this is what I have in common. If you have something similar or better, let's see it. And so I've been, each step of the process, I have been a part of. And that's what I like about what I've been. Another star just fell. Sorry, got distracted there. They're falling. But I like that they include me. And that was one of the questions when I went searching for a publisher for the first book. I wanted to be a part of the artistic part. I wasn't saying, oh, put me on the cover because that's who it is. No, I was like, let me just tell you what I like. And I think with Reviving Sunshine, we went through, I don't know, like 15 different covers. We went from a drawing done by my mom, which I have, and then we went from, okay, can you at least get me pictures of the person you have in mind of for each character? And I was like, okay, I can do that. And I just Googled it, and they're like, okay, let me see if I can get the rights to these. And I was like, no, I just want you to just kind of, if you have someone that looks similar, that'd be great. And I was like, and he's like, okay, well, we might have to do something different. So with this one, it was like, I think it was like we went through 5 covers, and then I said, look, let me just send you what I have, and you can tell me if it's worth it. And so we picked my cover. He said, if you really want to use it, we can use it. So it's mine. So this makes it a little more special to me.
Good job.
What about the title? Do authors choose titles?
I did. A lot of my books already, or the stories that I've written, they've already come with titles. And I think a lot of personally, I think that's what really attracts the attention of a publisher, is having a book that has a title, and if it's something they want. And with Reviving Sunshine and Dream About Me, they were as simple as they were, they just had meaning to me. And Dream About Me is actually, the translation is Sanyami, which means dream about me. And it was a song that I liked, and I liked the words, and I was like, oh, that would make a really good story. Though maybe the words were different to somebody else, but I decided to do it this way and use some of the elements from the song to create the title and the story. So I wrote the title because it spoke to me. Reviving Sunshine, I used it from, I think I went through 10 or 15 different titles for that one, because I originally had it called something else, and then I said, no, I don't like it. It doesn't speak to me. And then I have one of the characters, I know everyone here has pretty much read my book. the first one, and it's the nickname of the main character. Her deceased husband calls her Sunshine because she has all the colors. So it was reviving Sunshine. It was about her, coming, reviving. So with Dream About Me, it's how dreams actually can heal you, and how your dreams, not just when you're sleeping, but as you are living your life, the dreams that you start having, going back to things that you knew once before that have changed, but they're new dreams. So dreams actually heal you.
That's awesome. Wow. Right, does anybody else have any questions right now? All right, we'd love to hear a little bit of the book, Sarah.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and read chapter 1, or part of chapter 1. So in this case, my chapters actually have titles. That was another thing about me, is I never use titles. This one I needed titles for this because I think this was the best. So this one is called Whispers. The summer sun streamed into the loft apartment, glinting off the colorful glass wind chime as it swayed under the air vent, tinkling whimsically. The colors danced around the bright living area and scattered its colors all around. He lightly walked on the wooden floor with his bare feet, so as not to make a sound to wake the sleeping woman on the L-shaped couch that divided the kitchen from the living area. His hazel eyes scanned the large room, and he smiled a little. He focused his attention on the young woman as he leaned forward and placed his large hand lightly on her head. "Amore, it's time to wake up," he whispered softly. "Emma, Emma." The alarm sounded and jarred the sleeping woman into consciousness. Emma's eyes snapped open, and she sat up abruptly, inhaling deeply. Her blue eyes turned in the direction of the large window and shook her head. "Alfonso," she whispered, "are you here?" Emma contemplated the silence as she remained sitting on the couch. Her eyes were wide with confusion. She had heard his voice in her dreams as clearly as if he had been sitting next to her. But they say those sorts of things happen during the mourning process. She sighed as she leaned back, and she felt the salt sting of a stray line of tears brimming at her eyes. Her gaze drifted to the impressive diamond ring Alfonso gave her on their wedding day. The 2-carat stone, fiery for an emerald cut, returned the glinting light of the sun. She turned the ring 3 times before she kissed it lovingly with her delicate, full lips. "You aren't here, are you? You aren't coming back ever again." Emma covered her face as she began to weep. "Why did you leave me alone here?" The second alarm went off, and Emma reached to shut it off. She sat up, pausing momentarily, and then forcing herself to stand and slip on the worn-out flip-flops she often wore around the house. She lackadaisically trudged over to the pile of blankets and half-emptied suitcase occupying one end of the couch, and pursed her lips as she studied them. The blankets, had been intended to be souvenirs for friends from their latest excursion to the States visiting her father. "Amore," came the faint whisper that breathed past her and slipped off around the corner. Emma stopped and glanced around her as she became aware of a distinctive presence that stood startlingly close to her. She turned and looked towards the window, unaware that the presence she was feeling was directly in front of her. Closing her eyes, she experienced the cool feeling of a hand brushing aside a lock of her dark auburn hair from off her shoulder. When the coolness caressed her cheek, Emma smiled at the comfort and familiarity that overcame her. "Alfonso, come home," she whispered. Her lower lip quivered. "I'm home, Amore," the echo of a whisper responded. So that's part of chapter 1.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any final questions for Sarah about this book, writing process, her first book? Oh. Okay, go ahead and unmute yourself. I need to figure out why I can't.
I'm just wondering, who do you like to read?
You know what? I usually stick with the classics, but I've actually been all over the board when it comes to different writers. I know everyone's familiar with the Bosch character by Michael Connolly, and I've gotten into the show. Now I'm getting into the books, but I'm also into like nonfiction because I took a nonfiction class last semester, and I'm just all over the place. There's not one particular, but I tend to fall into the chick lit genre, but there's no particular person I truly am like, oh, I have to have all their books. But anybody.
If anybody else has a question, unmute yourself because I can't. Go ahead and.
Oh, there you go.
All right. But if not, let's see, before we go, Sarah, your introduction mentioned that you have many more books, series in the works. Yes. Is there anything about them you'd like to share with us? Things, a little more detail about things we can look forward to? Or do you want to keep it secret? No,
I'm good. I'm actually, the series I'm actually writing is about a secret society. Fiction, of course, but you still have to do your history lessons, and it's kind of a new world order. They work behind the shadows of governments and countries and kind of keep the balance of good and evil. And if one falters, they go in or if there's trouble. So as of right now, I have 4 books planned. I haven't written all of them. I write them all at once because I have to. The first book kind of is it's before. I mean, it's kind of the end of the series, but not the end of the series. It's kind of in the slightly middle. So it kind of feeds into another where it could also be considered a spinoff. So there's 5 books that, if you look at my windows on Word, there's every time I write it, if I'm writing on book 3, I have to go back to book 1 and 2 to work on book 3, and book 4 and 5 and all that they have to line up. And that's where my sticky notes come in. But also I have to make sure I highlight and carry over, especially since there's flashbacks from the first books or whatever. So that's sort of what I'm working on. And then I have the Christmas book that I hope to have out by November, maybe around this time too. So good Christmas present for the future. But so that's kind of what I'm working on. And then of course I'm working on other stuff, but most of my books also take place in, of course, Italy.
That all sounds wonderful. Yeah, the secret society. Yeah, that sounds really something I'd like to read, and all the research that must, have to go into that, because you probably don't. I mean, I don't know much about secret societies, so
it's a lot of research. That's all I can say. So, but it's definitely fun to write with that, and also, I mean, I tend to write. I usually have 6 or 7 books going on in my head, and I'll just work on all of them. This just happened. This one and Reviving Sunshine. And another couple of them just took up most of my time, and I just wrote them all at once because it was just coming naturally. Whereas my other books, I do pieces on them. That's why those take so long. And the series, I'm hoping to have maybe in 2022, this first one out. So we're gonna fingers crossed on that one. So
definitely. All right. I am out of questions. Oh. All right, go ahead. Yeah, unmute yourself. There we go.
Hi, mother of the author. The one thing I have to say is I'm always very impressed with authors who can sustain a story over 150, 200, 300 pages and have it stay interesting, and it follows the storyline to its ultimate resolution. And it's amazing when you can do more than one. That's why I'm impressed with Sarah's ability, but not just because she's my daughter. But it's great stories.
That's true. Keeping the plot, like I was asking about the characters earlier, keeping everything straight. When you're talking about just one book, it seems like it would be enough. But then, we talking about the series and keeping all of that straight. That is something something to be admired. Yes, I agree. It's not the mother of the author. All right. Well, there's nothing else. I want to thank all you guys for joining us tonight. The library is open, slightly reduced hours. We're opening about an hour later every morning, but we're open, on Saturdays, planning on being open tomorrow, unless something crazy happens overnight. We offer curbside pickup. This month, it's Need to Feed Month in St. Charles Parish, so we're taking food donations. If you happen to have any fines or fees on your record, one item donated will take care of $1 on your record. But if you just have things that you'd like to donate, we'll get them to the food bank for you. Holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas are coming up. So I know they are in need. So we're happy to bring your donations to them. Thank you so much, Sarah, for reaching out. And when we can do things in person again, we'd love to have you in person, maybe doing this again, or doing writing classes. You've been—
Oh, please invite me. I got nothing better to do.
Yeah,
but
well,
right.
That's what you got to do.
If I could get paid, if I knew I was going to get paid millions of dollars, I'd stay home, right? But, going to work is fun because that's a story in itself. And I wouldn't have been on the journey that I am now with school if I had not been working the day that we had career day for the kids. And one of my kids, actually, her hair was pinned up. She was wearing like a flannel shirt, and she had glasses and a pencil in her hair. And I said, "Oh, are you going to be a teacher?" And she said, "No, Miss Sarah, I'm going to be a writer." And she taps her notebook at me, and I was like, okay, that's what I need to be doing. I need to be teaching these young minds. And so I started getting— originally my MFA was just going to be me saying, "Oh, look, I have an MFA." Now I'm like, no, I need to share my craft. So that's the journey that I'm on now.
All right. Well, yeah, let's keep in touch. Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you so much too, and everybody who did come. I'm really happy, and I know I have some people that are overseas that couldn't come because it's 1 a.m. over there. I mean, they're night owls, but hey, I told them that I record for them, so this is it. But thank you so much. I'm glad that you actually answered, because I was getting nervous. I was like, oh, I got to do something for this book because coming out.
Yeah. I'm glad we could be each other's firsts, virtual book launches.
Yes, and it was good. Minus the stars that fell, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah. All right, so everybody, who's in Louisiana right now, stay safe. Let's hope the weather, stays okay.
Yes.
Thank you all, and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.